to the Voiceover Round Table. I'm Mike Tobin.
And I'm Emma O'Neill. Every week, we get together to talk about all things voiceover, with a special focus on community.
Bringing you in-depth interviews, roundtable discussions, special performance events, and industry-leading guests.
Let's get started. This is the Voiceover Round Table.
It's been a little bit of a nerve-wracking week. In case you didn't notice, there were some changes to Clubhouse, and clubs disappeared, and houses took over, and features vanished into thin air. And somehow here we are on the air, and our wonderful guest is with us. But I'll do the re-intro because, again, sporting brand colors. Over to my left, the lovely co-host of the Voiceover Roundtable, Miss Emma O'Neill.
It has been a very interesting 72 hours with this. Some of you today were in the test room with me where I was like, what in the love of everything is happening? And everyone was talking and I was losing my mind. I was like, why is everyone here?
People of a certain age will remember the party lines, but
Giovanna, you were a freaking rock star. I really appreciate you for jumping into those test rooms today to calm me down. But we are now here. Everything is fine. It seems to be working. All of your beautiful faces are here. I'm seeing questions come into the chat room already. Post your questions if you do not want to come up on stage. Yeah. But for now, I want to introduce someone. Our special guest tonight is an elite level voiceover talent manager, the author of the popular book Voiceover Achiever, and the founder of Celia Siegel Management and the VO Château. CSM and their management roster, the VO Château, are widely recognized for developing strong personal brands like mine for voice talent and delivering exceptional management and casting services across the globe.
As an experienced brand building pioneer, certified life and business coach, success strategist, and former talent agent turned manager, she has advanced the careers of top VO talent for over 2 decades. Her multi-leveled expertise and extensive knowledge of the ever-changing voiceover industry have helped thousands of voice actors successfully brand and grow their VO businesses.
Please welcome to the VO Roundtable, Celia Siegel. There you go.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Have found her.
Arlene, hello.
We're good. Don't touch anything.
Oh my gosh. Hopefully some things are worth the wait.
Right? I'm glad I warned you that this was going to be a bit of a shit show at the beginning.
Oh my gosh. No, we love a good shit show just to get us rolling and excited.
What brand colors are shit shows, Celia? Oh boy!
I won't say the obvious ones.
Right. Well, then it might get gross. Let's not go down that path. Oh.
Let's not go down that path.
Jeez. Welcome. Thank you for joining us, Celia. Thanks so much.
Oh my gosh! Thank you so much for having me. It's good to hang out with you guys.
Absolutely.
I know you both from business, and thanks for inviting me.
Well, we love you, and that's why we want to have you here. And I'm sure our audience is going to love you if they don't already know you from your book or from seeing you at other platforms and the conferences and different things like that. But one of the things we love to ask here, because we get to hear kind of the answer in your own words, so to speak, is that the whole origin story. So maybe if you can, the quick Coles Notes version of how'd you get your start in the business and how'd you get to this spot?
Yeah, well, I thought I wanted to be a film director or a shrink. I double majored in film and also in psychology. So I was either going to go to grad school and go that path, or I was really interested in like visual things and film. And I took a job right out of college at a talent agency in Minneapolis, so I could meet the casting community and the film community here, which was really thriving at the time. And day one, as a receptionist at the Wayman agency, a long time ago, I was just mesmerized by the voiceover agents in particular. And I just became obsessed with becoming an agent, moving to LA and being an agent. And I just found that I just felt really lucky that this talent representation piece was all of my favorite things wrapped up in one. So I had sort of an innate like of the business and this piece of it. And yeah, I've just been doubling down ever since. So I, worked as an agent at 3 different agencies. I moved to CESD in Los Angeles as soon as I could get there. And then I was an agent in San Francisco for a stint. So yeah, it was like this kind of natural desire to help people be more awesome, and love of the arts and love of business and entrepreneurship, that I've just been happily at home doing this for, in my bio it says over 20 years, but it's way over 20 years. So yeah, here I am.
Here you are, indeed. That would have been a crazy coin toss, I think, if you'd had to. Let's see.
But it's really cool, knowing you the way that, obviously, I've been getting to know you over the last year, being on your roster, and then being able to hang out with you in Atlanta. And then, of course, with working my brand, which was an epic story for a different show, because it could go on for days. Then knowing that you wanted to either be in the movies or a psychologist, I'm like, that, yes. That absolutely makes sense.
It's kind of those things. And it was a French minor. So that's why we got to be friends, Mike. I was like, oh, you speak French? I remember first meeting you and just being fascinated with the luck of being able to actually speak French as a native and be bilingual.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a gift. I love it. And
it is pretty fantastic. Now to get into the stuffs. So I know you do a lot of different things. And as we mentioned, obviously, in your bio, that you're a talent agent turned talent manager, but maybe you could help our listeners understand the difference. Could you share what led to the decision for you to switch from agent to manager?
Sure. So when I first became a talent agent, things were so different. I literally had 12 voiceover clients. Everybody wanted to, quote, be a voiceover talent, but we were like, nope. Only the really smart ones get to be VO talent. It was so exclusive.
Wow.
That I really did brand every single one of those people. Taglines, the whole deep dive, how to present them. So in my early agent days, I really was an agent and a manager, so being able to, go to the studio and help pick copy and, bug people about fixing their demos and being, a career design coach. What do you want? Let's go get it. And then my, subsequent, 10 more years as an agent, agencies just got bigger and rosters got bigger and bigger. And, I still did really work to know people individually and help them design and manage their careers, but it got harder. Truthfully, me leaving being an agent, I loved being an agent so much. It was when I had my first daughter. I was working at JE Talent, then the Mitchell Agency in San Francisco. And my bosses were like, we'll build a baby. What do they call it? Where you put your baby? A nursery.
Right.
So I had my kid in the booth in my office that we used to, bring the talent in to audition. We got a separate booth. I brought my daughter in and put her in the booth. And it took me about 3 weeks to realize that I was being just a crappy agent and a crappy mom. I was like, I just need to take a breather. I just need to take a second, in this adjustment time. And so I stepped away to just kind of chill with my kid. And my talent kept calling me. And they kept calling me. Yeah. And they kept calling me. Can you help me with this campaign? Can you help me, brand this or market this or negotiate this? So I actually became a talent manager before I even knew it hit me. It just naturally happened. So I decided to hang a shingle on my door, and I started Celia Siegel Management in 2000. So yeah, it just happened organically. And then I was like, wow, I'm just going to double down and work with my favorite people and my ideal clients with ideal buyers doing my favorite things. And I've been doing that ever since and just kind of growing things from there. So that was how I made the switch, kind of accidentally.
I love that.
Do too. The organic thing seems to be a thing that's coming up a lot lately. And I think that reminds people that you're on your path. Be confident you're on your path, even though it might not feel like it. You're on your path.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I love it.
Absolutely. And speaking of organic, when did you know that branding was the thing you wanted to focus on? Because you just said that you were doing it all the time anyway. When was that moment of like, you know what, I'm good at this. This is what I'm going to really focus on helping people to build.
I think ever since I was really little, like 3, I branded everything. Like in my baby book, my mom talks about me branding everything, making it better, telling the story about why you need it. Like it's just some weird, like internal DNA thing. And then just at work, I automatically did it. And luckily, my first boss used to give me big budgets to hire the best photographers and writers. And so I got this really great training. So I just did it automatically as kind of a value add when working for other people.
Yeah.
And then when I went out on my own, I had my first office in San Francisco, and I really doubled down on it. Like I hired the best writers, the best photographers, the best web designers I could get my hands on. And I just started, like, I would leave work every day, like, I love my job. And then would help people create their brands, and then layer on top of that the management thing, and using that as a vehicle to become the most successful talent they could become and feel most confident and happiest, which makes you audition better.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's just always been there. So, yeah, right away, it was branding and management.
Perfect. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
I have a fun question for you, Celia. If you had to choose, talking about branding, what's more fun for you, like being the branding expert, building a new brand from scratch, or I'm going to say fixing a brand that's not at its best, or like maybe, I guess we could call that rebranding?
Rebranding is actually harder than doing a brand from scratch.
Of course I'm harder.
There is no easy
I'm
with
difficult.
Totally, right?
I'm difficult.
Well, that's a great example, Emma. So I like it all.
Right.
But the rebrand is its own special challenge because you have to take what worked before and kind of suss that out and keep it, and then morph that into like the new thing. Both the talent changes as they grow and follow their passions and become more and more successful, and the world is always changing. So not throwing out the baby with the bathwater, so to speak. Pulling what's working and looking at how the world has changed since last time they branded, and then layering that, I would say is more exciting for me, is that challenge of the rebrand and making that work without destroying, recognition and your brand, ownership from previously.
So it's like you're not going to take a flat iron to totally curly natural hair, is what you're saying.
Exactly. Maybe once in a while. Maybe that's the rebrand.
For a party or something, like landing page gets a little splash of something. I love it.
The SEO, how are we telling your brand story?
Yeah.
Who do you want to love you the most? And maybe we'll speak to them the loudest.
Ooh, cool. Now, And now we're going to talk about branding, and I'm going to use my French at the same time.
Oh, look
Ah,
at
très
you,
bien.
fancy pants.
Oh.
Comme beau.
Oh.
So not everybody out there has worked with a branding manager or designer or whatever. But what is a branding faux pas? In French, we say faux pas. It is literal translation from English. It is bad step. Faux pas, a bad step. So what faux pas in branding do you see frequently made by voice talent out there?
This one's easy.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of them, and I've got like pet peeves, but I would say as a talent, the worst thing you can do as far as getting your brand to work for you is having a brand that could belong to anybody. So I would say that's the biggest faux pas is people are like, this is trendy. I'm going to be this. And they
Right.
pick some tricky little saying that has nothing to do with who they are or their authenticity or their brand DNA.
Yeah.
So if I look at it, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty, but that could belong to any man out there, any woman out there. Like, let's rein it in.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest misstep is just making it pretty, but this is your opportunity to make it all about you.
Okay, so you said pet peeves. Let's hear a few more. I'm thinking there has to be things like being too generic or trying to appeal to too many people.
Totally.
What else?
Absolutely. So, yeah, fear of pleasing everyone is another big one. So people will be like, oh, I really love that. And I would love to go that direction. And that makes my heart sing. And I feel like the people I really want to work for will resonate with that. But what if somebody doesn't hire me because they see that I'm this?
Right.
And, it's like that mushy middle of like speaking to no one is not going to motivate anybody to care about you, what you have to offer, your career, what you can do to solve my problem. So that's a big one. And it's just it's a human nature fear of not being liked,
We want to make people happy. I mean, it's not just we don't want to make only some people happy. We want to make everybody happy, right?
Yep. And then, that's not going to get you hired. Exactly.
But you can't.
And
You got to make some people love you and some people walk away.
Exactly. And the thing is, if you look at especially personal brands or celebrity brands or, brands belonging to human beings, like the most popular ones, like somebody hates them and they're getting people talking.
Yeah, true.
And, but then you attract your tribe, so it's okay if, almost everybody's like, ooh, not for me. But if you have diehard fans who want to work with you, it's a great basis to get some conversations happening about making your voiceover business busier.
Absolutely.
Another pet peeve of mine is out of date visuals and graphics, especially, I mean, these days, really, we can all be web designers. We can all learn how to use Canva. We can all think of our design elements and like stay on track and be consistent, so things that are all over the board or like there's certain trends, that happened 10 years ago or even 20 ago that aren't retro cool yet.
They'll come around eventually.
They'll come around, just hang on. But even then, there's a little tweak or it's a little cleaner. But yeah, when I see something that just doesn't look current, we work in a trendy industry.
Yeah.
That makes my heart hurt when I see that for sure.
That totally makes sense. With this, I want to ask, Sarah Tittle actually posted a question earlier in the chat that
related
helps
to that.
with this. She wants to know how often you should change your website or branding. Is it better to wait until you can afford a major overhaul, or can you adjust things as you go?
So, I mean, that's the cool thing about branding is, yes, you can throw a lot of money at it, like any, I won't call it a problem, any situation, and you can get help and you can delegate. And, like I love working with people who are ready to work with me. But but you can do really great things like on a really affordable budget. There's like cheats and ways around getting your story out, even if you don't have like a full-on branding person working for you. So I believe your brand should always be, and your material should always be as good as possible. So no, don't wait. I say DIY it, or, figure out a way to tweak things as you go along. I think it should always be as good as it could be with the tools you have at any given time.
Perfect.
I think that can go for a lot of stuff in our business. I mean, there's, like you said, Celia, there's stuff you can DIY up to a certain point, and whether that's like branding or your SEO, because there's lots of resources to learn how to make little tweaks and stuff like that.
Totally.
But it does make a difference when you're able to hire a pro. It makes a huge difference. Yeah.
Absolutely. And just for all kinds of reasons. Yeah. But yes, I mean, this community is, I think, the nicest, most sharing, most giving community of people. Yeah. Like even people at the top, like pretty much everybody I can think of that works in this business is willing to like reach down a hand and like give some advice or, teach you how to do things on the DIY until you can afford to work with them. There's like so much free content out there, and just ask questions, and you can get what you need for sure.
It's very true. Very, very true. Bringing it back to talent management before we take questions. And again, I've just posted in the chat. If you guys don't want to come up on stage, please post your questions in the chat. Otherwise, we will be opening the stage up to questions in just a few minutes. But for you, Celia, in your experience, at what point in one's voiceover career should one begin to consider a talent manager? Like, is there an income threshold or representation levels? Does anyone need a manager, and when would that be?
I think everybody needs a manager. I need a manager.
That's true.
It really depends. A manager is just somebody who has your back and is there as that extra support team for you in your voiceover career, and potentially for your whole life and everything about you. So, it all relates, so your wellness, your well-being, your confidence, like all of that, how much money you want to make, what projects you want to work on. So all managers are different, so you ask, 5 managers, you'll get 5 different answers.
Yeah.
But the when to work with the manager, like I find like I love the management relationship with my clients and getting to know them on a deep level. Like Emma, I know what you want.
Yes, you
do. And hopefully you always have the feeling that my team and I are always poised to help you get what you want.
100 and 500 million%.
Right?
All of the math together. Yeah.
That's fun, and getting what you want sometimes is pushing the pause button and having somebody in your inner circle tell you, yes, you do want that, but don't go for it yet or you'll shoot yourself in the foot. Mm-hmm. These 7 strategic things need to happen before you ask for that next level of your career. So having somebody to help you have patience is another role of a management team. So yeah, it just depends. I find for myself that it's a certain personality type that really does well in taking on management and then doing better. So for me, it's not a certain money amount. It's not a certain representation amount. It's people who want to like skyrocket from where they're at now to where they dream to be, and that I can collaborate with, and I have people at different levels. Like I have, people that everybody in this room knows who they are, who I have managed since they had a day job, and just waiting, like, when can I quit? Can I quit my day job? Not yet. Okay, pack the U-Haul, go to LA and go do everything you've dreamed of. Okay, check. So yeah, it's that forward motion and learning and collaborating as entrepreneurs together that I find to be incredibly exciting. So it depends. Obviously you need to have like a certain level of income and you need to be at that point where you can talk a manager into wanting to brag about you and make connections for you. So I think it's talent, knowing in your heart that you're at that level that you could use a team to help you level up. I guess would be a good threshold there. So yeah, it depends.
But I love, because sometimes you can just say it depends and it's really vague, but they were still really helpful, specific answers. So thank you for that.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to pull a question from our chat, Celia, for you.
Yeah.
Ryan is asking.
Spelt O'Neill the same way, Ryan O'Neill. We're probably related
From the
somewhere.
famous O'Neills.
Yeah,
From the famous O'Neills. How do VO managers work in relation to or with VO agents, crossover areas of influence, or distinct roles that collaborate for a client actor? Like, what's the dynamic? What's the working dynamic between managers and agents, I think is what Ryan's asking.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I'm going to say it depends. So these are all these are all relationships.
Yeah.
So, best case.
Oh, glitching.
Where'd you go?
Are you still there?
It was very clear cut, and you had your manager and you had your LA agent or your New York agent. But just over the year, then everything blew up with pay to plays. You guys all have, or not all, but many of you have several regional agents. You are on rosters for all different kind of genres. So you are all CEOs of your voiceover business, where your agent used to be the CEO of your voiceover business, and you just picked up the phone and asked where to go. So it's gotten really gray, honestly. So at my company, I like to help my talent get with the right.
What is happening? Celia, you're cutting in and out. What is happening?
Those relationships in and of themselves, the bigger the career gets, the more likely it is that your manager and your LA or New York agent are going to work in collaboration. So, I'll say...
Celia, one second. You're cutting in and out every once in a while, so just because we're like drinking up what you're saying.
We missed
and so if we're missing a bits of it, it's like,
I'm so sorry. My brother kept calling me over and over again.
Stop it.
So sorry about that.
Do not disturb.
Yeah.
It cut out right when you were saying we help you try to get with the right, and I think you were going to say the right agent or agency.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, as management, like I do a business plan with everybody, and I'm like, how's your agent representation? Oh, you want to be with this San Francisco agent, this LA agent, and maybe pare down, how many other agents you have in the country, just to be really specific about it. So I just let people go be successful with their agents. Like, for instance, I'm tight with Nate Tico at Stars. We used to work together as agents, and I love it when I can get people with them, but I'm not like, oh, send me money. Like, I'm just celebrating that somebody's going to go just kill it with this really great agent in a successful way. From time to time, as the career gets bigger, I do work in collaboration with people's Los Angeles and New York representation, so that we're not fighting against each other, that we're always working together to make Emma more awesome, and that's, I'm a big believer in communication and setting really good boundaries there. So on the big stuff, I do collaborate with people's agents on like promo stuff, union stuff. So yeah, but everybody has different relationships with their agent, and I'm just stepping back as support team, and I take the lead from my clients on that.
Nice.
I love that.
Emma's going to grab a question from the chat. Before we do that, I'm just going to do our little mid-show thingy. If you joined us part of the way through, you will be happy to know that you avoided all the turbulence at the beginning of the show. Things are now flying smoothly at 35,000 feet. This is the Voiceover Round Table here on Clubhouse every Tuesday evening at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. We talk about all things voiceover with a special focus on you, our beautiful community, bringing you roundtable discussions, special events, and industry-leading guests. Tonight, our special guest is talent manager, founder of CSM and the VO Château, and voiceover branding expert Celia Siegel. And now we can continue with questions.
Fantastic. Questions are coming in. I love it. So from Norhan, I hope I'm saying your name correctly, Norhan. She says, if one has gone through the steps of personal branding, identifying their values and their career goals, but they're still stuck in the step of finding which values they will add to the VO table, which will best define them, how would you advise them?
Yeah, it's hard because we all have a lot of values.
Yeah.
And when those values exercises really help you is when you can narrow it down to 3. So it's like, yeah, which one am I more? So really be tough with yourself. Maybe do some masterminding with like some VO business best friends or somebody who knows you really well. And usually if you just keep asking yourself questions, you can figure out, 3 or 4 that are your main ones. Another trick is think about who you want to serve with your voice, and what values are they looking for. So sometimes it's that sweet spot of what you have that other people are looking for that helps you pick which values to toss into your brand.
Very cool. I like that. I'm just going to ask another question. You're unmanageable. It's true. Like, you are unmanageable. It's like wrangling kittens, people. I'm telling you, the best of times. So Ryan O'Neill has asked, Emma, can you share how having a manager has helped you in addition to your branding? It's helped me in leaps and bounds. Signing with Celia was one of the best things that I have done for my voiceover career, really. And it's not because she's the guest on the show. I would say that any day of the week. For me, it's kind of like having a momager that isn't going to ground me. Because it's having someone who completely has your back, having someone who knows you really, really well, because like when the onboarding I can only speak for CSM because I'm with CSM. So with the onboarding for CSM, it's so very in-depth. Like, there are forms and forms and forms and questions and questions and questions about who you are, what brands do you like, what are your favorite colors, what are your favorite foods, what do you not like, who do you want to talk to, who you don't want to talk to, what's your experience, what's your non-experience, what's your dream job, like all of these things. And then on top of that, we have weekly meetings, so that I can ask questions and that CSM can ask questions to get to know me even more. And then it's like seeing where I want to go, and it's like, here's this opportunity, okay, that didn't work out. Here's this opportunity, okay, that didn't work out. But noticing, for me, my wife always says, it's fall down 7 times, get up 8. I don't see it that way. I see it's almost like a cat playing with a mouse, like batting it over this way, batting it over that way. But it's all kind of like, no, this is where you're going. You've just turned yourself in the wrong direction. Keep going this way. Doesn't matter if you're turned around, just keep going. And having a manager helps you find your path, like really helps you find your direction. And, it's in a very, very short period of time, lots of things have happened that I can't discuss yet, and I hate doing that stuff. But but stuff has happened and it would not, hands down, it would not have happened, at least at this pace and at this level, without Celia's help. So,
and without your immense talent. So it is a collaboration. And thank you.
Absolutely.
Just to
100%.
reassure everyone, when you see the acronym NDA, it just means no drinking allowed. Okay, like that's all. It's not a bad thing. We joke. You're going to do another question in a second, but I just wanted to, because I am not unmanageable.
You can use well. I don't know.
Yeah, okay, but I mean, Ryan was asking how I've been helped. Now, I am not with a talent manager at this moment, but I did want to share how Celia's work and how Celia has helped me in finding branding clarity and in being loyal to myself and things like that. And it's a good opportunity. And like, if you've listened to this show at all, you know that we're not salesy. We're not plugging things and you need to buy this and you need, no. But sometimes there are things that just sort of, they stand on their own because they've been recognized as what they are. And Celia's book's one of those things. And so if you want to sort of you start to wrap your head around branding when it comes to voiceover and your voiceover business, I'm going to say, Celia doesn't have to say it, I'm going to say, get Celia's book and start there. Because that's one of the ways I found help first. And of course, I've consulted with Celia and different things like that. But to get clear on your stuff. And then, like, I think much like Emma and I are very similar in this, is like, we kind of get a little obsessive about certain things.
I don't know what you're talking about.
When I
have no idea.
Like, dear graphic designer, I want you to go to a different font. But why? This one looks great for your logo. I don't like the way the tail looks on the Q. But there's no Q in your name. Well, if I have to use a Q at some point, I'm not going to like the tail in the Q.
He's a lunatic.
Right? Right? I drove them batty.
I think a strong will to have the right font is a good foundation for a voiceover business. So I cheer you on, Mike.
Thank you. And to that, and to everybody going, wow, this guy's really nuts. Know that there can be two, and Celia, you can probably speak to this now. This would be a great thing, is that there's the two extremes of the spectrum, right? When we're talking about branding and working with someone on branding, you may have someone like me who I went to school for marketing and different things like that. And I'm very conscious of those things. I'm enthusiastic and I like those things. And I get excited about branding and colors and fonts. And that's my jam. I like that stuff. Some people are like, that's a what? You want a sans what? And it's like they completely, freeze. So what's the approach for both extremes and everything in between?
Yeah, I just think it's, back to that relationship piece of, so when I work with people, the same goes for business plans. I have everybody do a business plan.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what you want, you can't really do your brand. And some people are like, oh my God, what did you just give me? And they want to vomit. And some people give me a whole tome on all the things they're going to do in their lifetime. And I think branding's the same way. Some people are like, can you just do it and call me when you're done? And I'm like, no, not really, but I can do the heavy lifting. And then some people just really want to collaborate and have great input. And I can usually guess who's who before I start working with them, who's going to be really in it and who's going to need a lot of hand-holding and guidance, or maybe not even have an opinion, but just tell me what's good. Right. So it's like human nature and it's personalities. You just meet people where they're at and lend yourself as little or as much as they need.
I like that approach. That's the custom approach.
Mm-hmm.
I love
That's
it.
true. And I'm going to ask Sarah Tyndall, is always a font of questions, and I so appreciate you for this because it goes with what we're talking about. At what point in a talent's career could they reach out to you?
I love meeting you guys. So I actually do a very...
there's one soon, isn't there?
Open. I am. I do the brand mingle. Mm-hmm. I did it during the pandemic as a way to just bring community together because everyone was freaking out and lonely.
Yeah.
And now we're less lonely. So I just do it 4 times a year now. And I have one coming up in a couple of weeks. It'll be on my Instagram on a Friday morning at 11 o'clock Central, I believe. So that's a fun way to come and hang out. And then honestly, like I do a free 15-minute consultation where I will very wholeheartedly critique your brand, answer your questions, get to know you. I've met tons of people that way. And like 5 years later, they'll be like, you did a free 15-minute consultation and I'm ready 5 years later, so I never forget a meeting. And like, I'm always happy to, just do a little micro targeted meet and greet, and I'll be honest with people about, whether it's time to work together, if we're a good fit. It's usually very obvious. So, yeah, I'm always happy to chat and figure out if I'm a good fit for people.
Cool. I just have to do a really quick shout out to Peg, who has just posted from listening to the advice that has been given out on multiple shows that she just didn't bother auditioning for a gig the other day because it had an in perpetuity clause. Can we all just give her a round of applause right now? Yes, Peg.
Just don't do it.
Woo!
Just say
I
no.
love it. That is a good roundtable topic.
Seriously.
An education piece.
Comes up a lot. Yeah, it comes up a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sadly.
Ryan had another question. The questions are good, Ryan. They're good, so we're going to ask them. In your experience, Celia, regarding branding, what do you think about clients, actors, marketing themselves as bilingual, even though they're not native-born speakers? Possible strength, or better to market yourself only in native-born dominant languages?
Such a good question.
Yeah.
So we love languages here at Celia Siegel Management. We actually have the Global Château. So I just love, I love it when Mike says Chateau. And it's interesting. That is a multi-layered question.
Yeah.
Obviously you need to be excellent at something. And I would kick this question even out back to the room, but depending on what language it is, like I just talked to somebody today who is a very fluent French speaker, but 100% American, and she books like kids books and, telephone prompts and that kind of thing. And doesn't feel weird doing it. I would say, if you're a Spanish speaker, but not Latinx, maybe it's not the best time to be marketing yourself for Spanish, as we make room at the table for everybody. So there's being perfect at it, and then it's staying in your own lane. It depends. I do think that can be a complicated question. So really do a deep dive and make sure you're in the right place. And then only market yourself if you're excellent and you're not unseating somebody else who maybe is in line for that job.
And I think there's another layer to that one, Celia, if I may, that the whole thing, one of the biggest things and what's great about voiceover now, and I say now, and it's really been this way the last couple of years, is that voice buyers want authentic.
Yes.
And so if you're authentic is maybe you come from another country and English was your second language, but you speak English well enough for people to understand you very well, but you have an accent, because we all have accents. But you see where I'm going with this,
right?
Is that if that's your authentic voice, there are voice buyers looking for that.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We are looking for an English-speaking person from Belgium or from Africa or from South America. And
every day I see that in castings across my desk.
Open to all accents, open to all ethnicities. So it's
so exciting.
Just be you. Just
be you, which is your brand. So really that's all your brand is. It's just being authentically you and just showing up and showing yourself, which is not always easy. Just being a regular human, let alone you guys being human products and humans, but just show yourself, and there's somebody looking for you. And then through branding and through SEO and through marketing, you can be known as that one trick pony. for that thing and capture all of those jobs through your brand and through your SEO and through your website. So it is a really exciting time to just show up being you.
Which is very good. Again, I love when questions over the course of the evening kind of psychically go in the direction, like it all just kind of flows. So Randy Dan says, such fantastic information. Thank you. I've been fortunate in having many varied experiences in acting, theater, writing, and voiceover, different disciplines, branding wise. Should a person choose one discipline, for example, animation, or promote, quote, your skills, all of them that you offer, which is kind of like a branch off what we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I think I call that love the one you're with. Mm-hmm. So if you really want to do animation, give a wink to that in your visuals. Like your visual brand is very important to like send signals to your ideal buyer. But that does not mean that your brand isn't about your commercial work and your e-learning work and your promo work and your trailer work and all the genres that you work in. Mm-hmm. But I do think leading with that big dream and having that be the most prominent style of your brand, and then you can send like sub-branding marketing messages out to all the other genres. So you want it all in there, but like lead with the big dream.
I like it. And just to be specific, because it's to continue with that, because there are, many actors play in different areas. Like they play with on-screen, they play with theater, and they play with voiceover. They should have different websites or domains or sections for each area?
No.
Bring them all together.
Bring them all together. So, especially because the it's not even a trend, but buyers want actors. They want people who know how to act. And so, if you have a theatrical career, having that section on your website is just that wink and the nod to another skill set. I say as long as it's voiceover adjacent, put it all in there together. And that could include your coaching, if you're a coach, or do, a lot of actors out there do really specialized training as part of their thing that they do. Mm-hmm. And I think when put together properly, it just supports each different nuance of your career. If you're also like a plumber on the side, that's a separate website probably.
Right.
But then you could market your voice to all the plumbing outfits around the country. But, but if they feed off of each other, I love helping people simplify their life by putting all of their, acting, creative careers in one spot. Because think about when you try to go find somebody, and you're like, oh, I'm going to listen to this person's voiceover stuff, and then you find they're on camera, but you can't listen to their demo, and you just get frustrated and you leave. Right. So you don't want that to happen, or just have somebody Google you and show up in the wrong place. So it's just a good way of managing, and you can have separate landing pages for the separate things that you do.
And stuff happens organically too. Like I've had people find my website, and like I've had some on-camera gigs now, and I don't advertise myself as being an on-camera actor, but they're like, oh, well, we found your voiceover website and we see your picture on it. Do you want to do some on camera?
Ooh.
Okay.
Because he's pretty.
Oh, stop it.
You're pretty. Oh, stop it. Oh my God.
So I like that. The voiceover adjacent thing. So not if you're a plumber, otherwise you down the drain voiceover, I don't know.
Hey,
I like it.
Now somebody's like on GoDaddy right now. I love that. I want it. But yeah, the adjacent stuff, it totally makes sense, to have a little page or a little nod or whatever. Yeah.
Speaking of adjacent things, I was having this conversation with another voice actor. So in Canada, the union and the non-union are very, very distinct places to be. And actors have a very different experience when it comes to, like, they don't do demos necessarily. They have reels. So they just have their This is in Canada specifically. So it's only work that they've done versus work that they're capable of doing. Now, a friend of mine who is starting to recognize that possibly he's missing out on things, he's starting to explore, these crazy non-union people and what they do. And one of the things that he was saying that he was doing that I was like, interesting, this would be an interesting question, was that because he's lived in Canada for a really long time, so he has a neutral kind of North American accent, but he's British. So he can flip back and forth quite easily between British accent, like received pronunciation, Cockney, any of the stuff, and his Canadian or North American accent. And he was saying that he was going to put a British spot on his North American demo. Thoughts?
I like
Because some people say separate them. I'm just curious because you're the one dealing with the buyers.
Yeah, I love it together. And I do have maybe 3 or 4 people on the roster who are American, and they're really good actors, and they do really good English accents, and have booked a ton with just a little wink to that fact on their commercial demos.
Okay.
So I think if you're really strong at it, if you really do book in both, it's okay to like throw a little something else you can do for variety. And it depends on what the demo is for too. I think that, now that we can just split apart our demos and tag things. And I was just talking to somebody today who was like, okay, I need to up level because this agent she really wants, who should have said yes, didn't. And she was like, do you think having a better demo? And I said, yeah, I think you can do a demo to like, wow, that sector. But you're going to have a different demo for all the different lanes of your work. So the thing that gets you work on pay to plays isn't going to be the same thing that wins you, like big market representation necessarily, or, so it might depend on which demo also. And you could have one with and one without and just kind of see, like, if you've never book on the wrench that you throw in, like maybe be like, okay, people aren't resonating with that. And you could separate it out and tag them separately.
That makes sense.
I like the concept of just a little wink. Like I know that I consciously did that in some of my demos where let's choose a brand that has a French name but that people are familiar with, right? So like about Bombardier, somebody will hear me say Bombardier and they'll go, wait a minute.
I love how you have the same demo in English and French, but in the different languages. I think that's brilliant and really fun to listen to.
I went against so many people to do that. So many people said, don't do it. I said, nope, I'm doing it.
I love it.
Sorry.
Do you find that it behooves you to have it that way?
It is. I feel best about it because if I thought the decision was if I'm going to market myself as truly bilingual, then it needs to be carbon copy. It needs to be carbon copy. So
fun.
And it doesn't. And that's like my ultimate commercial goal at the top of the list. The bucket list is always like book a national commercial, English and French, and like to do both. Come sort of close, like a few sort of things where, but not a really big one, and so it's still up there at the top of the list. But
I like that goal.
It'll happen.
It's going to happen.
Mike, there is a question, but I think it's pretty much the same. But I think you should take it just because it's Steph.
Parce que c'est
Stéphanie.
When so our lovely friend Stephanie Brochard asks, when you're bilingual, how does Celia feel about having on English commercial demo a spot where the featured product is French? So that's kind of like what we were just talking about. So like Ferrero Rocher, and perfectly pronounced. That's the good part of the question there.
Yes, and yes. I love it.
Oh, because it's like even when you do speak French, it can be really difficult to flip from English into French for a brand name and then go back because it's like different placement in your mouth. And sorry, I'll let you. What you were going to say, Celia?
Oh no, I was just agreeing.
And but I guess what Steph is asking is, should it be perfectly pronounced like the French pronunciation.
Got it.
So should it flip all the way over, or should it, like, I know I've had some experience where depending on the market, they've said, like, for example, if you do for the Canadian market or a European or international market, they know that Grand Marnier, that's the way you would say it in French. They know what that is. But in America, it's Grand Marnier. So it's like...
Yeah. Oh, no. Good question. Sorry.
It's a little lazier. So I think that's what Steph is asking.
I didn't take it deep enough. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess it's just awkward if you take it all the way when... Yeah, I guess you need to say it like the Americans say it, unless somehow you're showing that you're being tongue-in-cheek. You know, there would probably be a way to do that in a fun way. But yeah, I guess it is awkward and weird when people go the whole European way of saying things when it's not how you say them here. Like, there's a school down the street from me that's Carondelet, but they freaking call it Carondelet. Drives me crazy.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. It's like Sarah Tyndall saying, like, when my mom says croissant the right way, it's so annoying.
Je mean she says croissant.
Croissant.
Croissant. And if we go all the way the other way, it is a crescent roll.
A crescent.
A crescent roll.
Crescent.
Totally. Yeah. I'll do the Pillsbury
Somebody
Doughboy
poke
laugh.
my tummy so I can giggle, please. Wow.
Sarah, your secret's safe with us. You're fine.
Anna Marie.
Yeah, but I do love that question. I think it'd be kind of fun to just, go all Parisian on it, but you'd have to be kind of like bitchy or do something funny with it. But yeah, if you're being normal, I guess you have to Americanize it.
Yeah. It always goes down to, and to go back to what you were talking about with demos, it's always about what you want to accomplish, right? Who you want to connect to. So you were talking, Celia, about, if you're going at your talent that was going after a specific agent, or who wanted to go after that agent, that maybe they needed to level up their demo. It's like that. Your demo for year 1 versus your demo for year 4 and year 10 is going to be different because your goals are going to be different. Yeah. And I think the same thing might go for markets. So, like, I know, Emma, you were saying that you've got some, different orders to your demos depending on who you're marketing to and things like that. So you really have to kind of deep dive into those things to figure out what you're after and how you get it accomplished.
Totally. Yeah, and it's just fun. This is new. This whole pulling apart the demos, just thinking about, like, being in the industry as long as I have been, like, I remember when things were still in cassette tape and that hunting and pecking. And a lot of our, quote, rules about, demos can only be exactly 1 minute, not a second longer, or that's not cool. And it's like, well, that's not really true anymore. Yeah. Because that's just true out of respect of people's time back when they were stuck in your demo for 60 seconds. And now they can go, dink, 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 dink. Oh, yes, I want that person. Or dink, nope. So I think that...
Yes, folks, it does happen that fast.
It does. So like, I encourage everybody to think outside of the box, because there are a lot of rules that are connected to old technologies and old ways of being. And I think as long as, you are careful to, like, stay in your own lane and be professional and don't, take somebody else's something that belongs to them. There's so many ways to do things differently right now that are going to emerge. They are emerging where you can be innovative, with your branding and your marketing, and do something a different way that works, like, given the way the world is now. So, we don't know what those are going to be yet, but yeah, just like being open about things. I think it's a good time for that.
Yeah, Emma, I was just remembering, I think we like driving our demo producers nuts too, eh?
We do, yeah.
Poor Eric.
Absolutely bonkers. Absolutely bonkers.
Unmanageable.
But again, unmanageable.
Yeah, completely.
Really, seriously, what is it you want now? But and it goes back to that continuum of not knowing at all what you want and trusting the professional completely, to owning what you know you want and collaborating with the professional. And there's that whole continuum in between, and it goes the same for a graphic designer, for a brand manager, and for a demo producer. You got to find your spot.
It's like I've got the added fun of having a musician as a partner. So when she's listening to my demo, she's listening to the actual mix versus the performance and the levels. So then it's even like you get it from all sides when you're working with me. It's worth it, I promise.
My last commercial demo with Eric, same thing. I'm a former nightclub DJ, and so the DJ and me came out, and I was like, Eric, the cut from number 2 into number 3, there needs to be 0.24 seconds.
Can you
more
click it over like 2
bed
clicks
right after this word? And he's like, huh? Really? And it's just like anyone would listen to it and it wouldn't bother them. But musicians listen, DJs listen to it, you're like, it's going to drive me nuts each time.
Yep.
So
there's a comment from Anna Marie Yang. Hello, Anna Marie. She's the best virtual assistant ever. She says she's been asked to pronounce Mandarin brands as if she doesn't speak Mandarin. Dear Lord, because it doesn't flow as well with the rest of the English script. That's a tough one. I bet.
Yeah.
You got to take the direction.
Brian, it's happened to him as well. Yeah,
you got to take the direction. It's hard sometimes. It's play the cards you're dealt. You know. Yeah,
because at the end of the, like going back to kind of reels and demos, what's the difference? Like, what are you capable of? The reel is about what you've done, which is about what the client wants. The demo is about what you can do and what you want and what's trending.
Exactly. Yes, I love that.
Right. So, and that reel isn't necessarily your best work because it's what the client wants, like saying Mandarin words with an English accent.
Right.
Right. So,
Celia, I wanted to ask you something about your book in specific, because what year did you put it out? I'm trying to remember. I don't have it.
2018.
2018.
Cool.
Still pretty fresh. Has anything changed in your opinion or your experience? Is there anything that's, 5 years is not that long, but sometimes it is. Yep. Is there anything that you would change? Is there a revision in order?
Right. Well, I'm glad you asked. Yes, there is a revision in order.
Oh. This was not planned, folks. I promise you. I swear.
No, that's so funny. Yes, I was just finished my first draft just today. I was like, I'm ready to put the next layer on it. And, this is my methodology and it still stands true.
Right.
And I really did write it in a way, thinking of it as a gift to people to really be able to do it and be like, great, I have a pared down brand that I can walk away with today. So, the methodology is the same.
Yes.
But we live in a trendy world and the whole freaking world has changed since 2018. So there's some notable differences. SEO is more important than ever.
Right.
So that's really just a part woven into the branding now, is to really take that way more into account. Visual trends have changed a bit. And then here's the really crazy thing that's happened. If you go to Emma's website, it's a total post-pandemic. I want to see you. I want to make eye contact with you. Mm-hmm. So that used to be really iffy as part of the brand conversation. Do I use my photo? Where we'd be like, well, I want to be a secret and I want people's imaginations. But really, the way that social media has grown, the secret is out. Everybody knows, look at us sitting here together.
Yeah.
You guys aren't just voices in this room. I'm looking at your faces and I'm not just a voice. So, the branded photo shoot is really my favorite new thing that has emerged so robustly in the last few years of, do your brand first. And then how do you show the essence of that in a photo shoot? So if you go to my website, many of the brands in my brand gallery that are up on the top are going to be hopefully really appealing avatars of the actor, in photographic sense. So yeah, that's the big thing I would say that's changed is that showing yourself.
Yeah.
So does this mean, so is this revised version of Voiceover Achiever, or is this a new book that complements it and takes things even further for 2023?
It is a revised Voiceover Achiever. So I got something in the works that's totally different, but yeah, I just still so stand by just kind of the way this lays out.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a trend update of this.
Cool.
Oh, I love that.
I love it. Can I say that you heard it here first?
Yeah, this is. You heard it here first. Yeah, I wasn't talking about it yet because when I wrote this one, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to take a month and I'm just going to block out like 3 hours a day and write this book. And of course it took 14 months, So now I'm like, I zip it up until I'm ready to send it to the editor.
Well, great. We look forward to seeing that, and I know that everybody will be enthusiastic about getting their hands on that. Do you have an idea when we can expect that, or?
I'm not going to say. I do have an idea.
Smart lady.
Yeah, that's fine.
I do have an idea, but I'm not going to say because and my designers say this too. It's like always under promise and over deliver,
Absolutely.
or it clips your creative wings. And you guys probably feel that about even getting through a big chunky narration, or like if you can have a little bit of creative space around things, you just do better.
Mm-hmm.
It's really true. Very, very true. We have, guys, if you have more questions, put them in the chat or come up on stage and chat. We have a couple more minutes. I have one question from Ryan about compensation. How do VO managers get compensated? Is it similar to agents?
That's a good question.
It depends on the manager. Again, all different. At my company, the branding piece is separate, and that's its own like consulting deep dive. But for management, and I've played around with my pricing structure. I charge a monthly retainer. It's, and I try to be so freaking valuable. I reinvest that money in, I work with an ad agency in Los Angeles who does my marketing. I send my team to conferences to bring in more buyers. So I have a small retainer. And then if I touch a job, I charge 15% of it. Yep. So I'm always working really hard to bring new, fresh opportunities to clients and hand it to them on a silver platter. And for that, I charge 15%. And then again, if I'm in collaboration and have that nailed down relationship in tandem with an agent, then there's a double commission structure there where they would commission both their talent agent and me, so we're working together on the big stuff.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So there's kind of that line between where there's branding and management work that don't directly involve a job. And then there's the other side where there's working with an agent or pulling in jobs or hands-on jobs and things like that. So different. Yeah. That's good.
Very, very cool. This has been awesome. I mean, minus the little, at the begining, but that's okay.
Trust me,
survived.
It's a lot better than we thought it was going to be.
I know, and you guys warned me, so I didn't sweat it at all.
We were very nervous. We were very nervous, but it worked out very well. I hope you had a good time, Celia.
Oh my gosh, of course, always fun hanging out with you guys, and good to see all the faces in the room and talk about my favorite things. So with some awesome people. So thank you so much thanks for asking.
Hang on, I've got questions coming in because people are freaking out that it's like, wait, what do you mean it's closing? What? No, wait a minute. So now there's questions. For taglines, slogans, it seems pretty common to see voice actors using 3 keywords to describe themselves. For example, friendly, conversational, youthful. Do you think, or do you find that full taglines, slogans are better for the brand? Do keywords make it so that clients only hear those keywords?
Ooh, I like that question.
Yeah, so that, 3-word thing, and I do talk about that in my book. It's a great sheet for if you're not a writer, or if you're not hiring a copywriter, to go through the process and get disparate things about yourself that you're kind of weaving into, wow, how unusual that they're this and that. I'm curious about that person. So how can you really, explain yourself in 3 adjectives is a great way to put together a feeling about yourself. We're writing to copywriters and ad people, so if you can, be funny and be pithy and, have a tagline that says more or sets more of a feeling, I think that's preferable.
Yeah.
But there's many ways to slice this. So yeah, there's all kinds of ways to just tell your story. But yeah, I love, and then the shorter the tagline, the harder it is to write, to really get meaning in there. So yes, both ways work.
Okay.
Brian had a question. We kind of touched on this earlier. Brian's asking, when do you think it's the right move to bring on a manager? So we kind of talked about that earlier, but
if you meet a management team that is ready to brag about you and really believes in you, and you're ready to grow, and you can find that right team, and your talent is off the ground and you're working, and it's the right time, so it's about finding that right marriage and getting with the right people, and you'll know when it's the right time. So you're busy, you belong here, you have a big business, and maybe your own personal marketing or the agents that you have or the pay-to-plays you're on, you've maxed out, and you want somebody to help strategize for that next thing you've got your eye on, is a good time to sign up with somebody.
I think that's really true, because for, like, speaking personally, for me, it's like, I was rocking along, doing my thing, all this stuff, and then it got to a point where I felt like I had gotten to the kind of top of what I was able to do by myself without somebody who had connections that I would have to work extra hard and be in many different places at the same time to be able to develop. So for me, when I decided to then look at management, again, we've been talking about being the organic stuff all the time, but it was an organic move for me. It was like, okay, I feel like I'm ready. This is what I'm going to do.
And I knew about you, Emma, just because, you're in the business and you've got a great career, and some of the coaches that I know, like, and trust you. And, you started to be aware of me, so there's this like moment where like you both like trust each other at the same time. And that's the right moment. And I like that idea of like, just, getting to that place where, you need help. And I mean, even as an entrepreneur, I hit, growing pains in my business, and, we've grown a lot. I have an amazingly smart team that works for me, and I'm so proud of them. And I just think they're brilliant, and we all, work together to, make stuff happen for our people. And, that's so exciting. And, sometimes I have to say, wow, I need a business coach, because I need to learn how to do this piece as a boss and a manager of employees. And, so just like always looking for that place where you can level up and you need help, I think is just a really good thing to keep in mind. All of us as entrepreneurs, so that could mean management. It could mean coaching. It could mean a better accountant. It could mean, it's time to be a corporation, all kinds of things.
That reminds me of a saying we say a lot here. You don't know what you don't know. Right? You don't know what you know. Sometimes someone like a manager pulling the curtain aside and going, look, this is waiting for you. Look. Right? And you're like, what? Really?
What?
This has been fun.
We have one more question from Ryan that I think is a great. It's just because it's funny.
Ryan.
He's asking, what makes you feel like it's a hell yes and not a hell no to work with someone?
Oh, that's such a good question,
Great question.
Ryan.
It is.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's such a good question. I have to think about that because it is a hell yes or hell no. Yeah, I that's such a good question. Okay, for me, the hell yes is partner, super smart, super talented, great at entrepreneurial things. But it's that person who
Someone's calling her.
Oh, no.
Oh, here.
yeah, we can do something
Someone's-
great. Can you hear me?
Cut out.
Yeah, we can hear you
cut
now.
out
Someone
that
called you.
person
Sorry, yeah,
who, and then it cut.
Somebody called me. Yeah, so that so yeah, the hell yes is that person who, like, we know we can help each other, and like that's my brother again. Hopefully my mom's okay.
Hopefully.
But so that's the hell yes. It's like, I can make you more awesome. You can make my job fun, and I can see a path. And are you going to listen to me? And am I going to collaborate with you? Like, it's just really obvious. And here's the hell no. And this happens where people are like, show me the money.
Ah.
And I'm like, ew.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, that happens a lot, actually. And I'm like, wow, there's probably somebody out there that will let you just go do your own thing, and I can never talk to you, or you don't listen to my advice, or vice versa. So people who don't want to do the work, but they want all of the rewards, because it's a collaboration, with all your people, your agents, your managers, your coaches. It's such a give and take of humanness. So yeah, it's that piece where people just are like, just book me more without wanting to do anything. And that always surprises me. So that's a hell no.
Yeah, we heard that a couple of times where people, it's like, whether it's an agent or a manager, and they're like, well, why should we work together? Like, well, I just want the opportunities that you're going to be able to give me. Wait, what?
It's like,
Not the way it works.
not really the way it works.
Not the way it works.
Right? Totally.
Man. So that you can not worry about the phone calls coming in anymore.
Yes. Check to see what your brother is calling
Yes.
about.
Yeah, right.
Somebody wants.
I'll text you about my 92-year-old mother, who's healthy as a horse. But yeah, so yeah, sorry about that. I'll have
No,
to.
that's okay. That's okay.
But yeah, this was so much fun, and it's great questions. Thank you, group. Super fun to field questions and talk about this stuff. And yeah, wishing everybody happy branding and expressing yourself and building your careers and all of it.
Thank you. So I'm just so glad that we were able to coordinate this. As you guys know, I'm the guest getter, and Celia's a busy lady. So it's like, trying to figure out calendars and everything else. I finally nailed her down. I was like, you got two dates to pick from, this date or this date. Go.
And I was like, yes, thank you. It's in the book. So I've been really looking forward to it. And yeah, I'll talk
so
to
happy
both
to have
of you guys soon about things.
Absolutely.
And yeah, everybody, thanks for coming.
Thank you so much, Celia.
All right.
Emma,
Good
what do we have
night.
going on next week?
Next week, we have Mr. Tom Pinto, the king of TV narration and affiliate and anything that requires a voice, really.
I'm going to put you on a spot with a question here related to flooding your inbox.
Oh.
Will there maybe be reads or no?
He has said no because TV narration is much more in depth.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
figured.
it's
Okay.
It's that there's
That's
too
fine.
much time. He's like, there'd only be time for like 1 or 2 people, and that wouldn't be fair to the room. So
But lots of question time, and we'll get your questions in, that's for sure. So Tom Pinto, as always, I thank my wonderful guest wrangler, Miss Emma O'Neill.
you are so welcome.
Thanks so much. And thank you all for being with us tonight. Thank you once again to our wonderful guest, Celia Siegel. And we will hear you next week, Tuesday evening, 7:30 p.m., 4:30 Pacific here on Clubhouse for the Voiceover Round Table. Thanks, everyone. Hope you have a great night.
Awesome. Good night.
Thanks, Celia. You can pop off. Thank you.
All right, thanks for wrangling me.
Thanks for being wrangled, lady.
All right. Ciao, ciao.
Good night.
Bye.